everyone, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com. Today I am back with a tutorial for some beaded beads that I had recently shared in my last finished jewelry update, which you can see in this necklace that's all put together and inspired by the contents of the recent Beading School Academy Flowers in the Hair themed subscription box. That's where all those materials had come from, and I'm working on a few more using the same types of materials just in some other colors that I had on hand, and we'll be working on that pink and purple colorway together. I'm going to make that last beaded bead with you, and I'll be leaving the list of materials that you'll need as well as the links to everything right down below the video. If you didn't get the recent Beading School Academy box, you can find everything you need in their online shop in all different colors, but basically we'll be using one of those Czech glass melon rondelles, some 3mm round beads, and also 2 different colors of 15-0 seed beads. And we're going to create a simple netting-like design that covers the rondelle shape in an open way, but you'll still be able to see that color peeking through from underneath. Once you've made one of those, you're more than welcome to make as many as you want. And then this necklace is just an example of one of the ways you can put something like that together. You can see I alternated the beaded beads in that necklace with some more of those melon rondelles that don't have the extra beading on top. And then I just finished up the length with some additional Czech glass beads and seed beads. So have fun with these and put them together however you like. Make some earrings, make a whole necklace of them, whatever you want to do. As usual, my beading thread today will be the 6-pound test 0.006 inch diameter Fireline, and I'll be using a size 11 beading needle, and I do recommend using a size 11 or 12 today, since we're using the tiny 15-0 seed beads and we'll be making several passes through some of those, so you want to make your life a little bit easier and not bust any beads. If you're interested in the subscription that I am referring to, I'll leave the link to that down below as well. And I also have a video sharing the unboxing. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out. I'll be sharing the November subscription package in just another day or two, so stay tuned for that. But as far as this goes, you can just gather up your materials, thread your beading needle with a comfortable length of beading thread, and we will jump into this tutorial. Alright everyone, to get started, you're going to be picking up 4 of your 3mm round beads, and you can pull those down to the end of your tail thread and leave yourself just about a 6-inch tail. You'll be weaving that back in, and you can go back through all 4 of those beads one more time, starting from the beginning. We're going to form these into a little loop, and we just need to go through one more bead to complete that loop around. And you can just pull your thread like that. Next, we'll be working with some of our 15-0s, and if you look here, we'll be using 2 different colors. I have one color that's going to be going in between each of these 4mm beads, and that'll be more of the accent color. And then we have another color that'll be forming the majority of those stripes that go around the bead. So whichever one you want to use as your accent, just pick up a 15-0. And then sew through your next 3mm bead and repeat that 3 more times. 15-0 and sew through the next 3mm. Once you get to your last one, sew through your 3mm as usual, and then sew through your next 15-0 as well. So I'm coming out of this 15-0, and then I'm going to pick up my other color, one of those. I'm going to pick up the color A and then color B, so I have this sequence on my needle, 3 more 15-0s. And now I'm going to sew back through that same 15-0 I was coming out of. And I'm also going to sew through the next 3mm and the next 15-0. So we have this little picot that we made right there, and we're going to do that all the way around. So once again, you're going to pick up a color B, color A, and a color B. And then you're going to sew back through that 15-0 and also sew through the next 3mm and the next 15-0. So we'll do that 2 more times. And then you can sew up through the next 15 B that you get to. And that'll get us in place for our next step. And now I'm going to add a needle to my tail thread. I'm going to weave that back in a couple of times just to get it out of the way and trim off the excess, and then we'll meet back and continue on with the next steps. Now with my needle coming out of this bead right on the side, I'm going to pick up 4 more of that same color, then 1 of that accent color, and then 5 of that second color. And now I'm going to pull these down. And what we've done is we created the section that's going to go on one end of the rondelle, and we're going to create our next section right now by picking up 4 more of our 3mm beads and pulling those down. And then we're going to sew through the first one again. And we're going to bring those together into a loop. And then hang on to those and just pull those closer to those seed beads. Slide them down. And now we're going to add one of those accent color seed beads in between each of these 3mm, just like we did over here. So I picked one up and we're going to sew through the next 3mm bead. Pick up another and sew through the next. And do that 2 more times. And then when you get to your last one, go through the 3mm bead and the next 15 seed bead. And now, like we did before on this side, we're going to pick up our color B, color A, color B, and we're going to sew back through that 15 again. Then we'll sew through our next 3mm and 15. Pick up our color B, color A, and color B, and repeat. It's a little bit different when we get to the last one because we already have some of these seed beads in place. So I'm coming out of that accent color in between these 2 rounds, and I'm just going to sew up through that first color B seed bead in that stripe. And then just to finish this picot area, I'm going to pick up a accent color and 1 more of that color B, and then sew back through the accent color. And I'm just going to continue through the next 3mm and the next seed bead. So you should have something like this so far. Basically, we have the top and bottom of our bead completed. And now we just need to start to bring this all together, and we're going to start turning this into sort of a bead cage. And we're going to get it almost completed to the point where we have 1 stripe left. And before we finish it, we'll slip in our rondelle and then tighten this all up around it. So now go up through the next color B seed bead. It's off to the side there. We're going to start connecting this together. One thing I want you to note is that these 2 should be parallel from each other, so make sure that this stripe is going into the corresponding seed bead and not twisted like this. So that's going into the left side. We actually need it to be like this. Just want to keep all these stripes straightened out as we go. But coming out of this seed bead here, we're then going to pick up 4 color B, a color A, and then 4 more color B. Pull those down, and then look across to the other section of your beadwork and go up through the corresponding color B. So that's going to be this one. So we're coming out of that. We want to go directly across into that one. Then you can sew through that color A, and we'll sew down through the color B on the left. And then let's connect these two beads with another stripe. So just like we did, we'll pick up 4 of our color B, 1 color A, and 4 color B. Now look directly across and go through that color B on the other side and pull that together. And then sew through the next 15 rows. You should have something like this so far, and we're going to move on to our next section. So we'll sew through our next 3mm and our next seed bead color A. I'm going to turn that and then sew up through the next seed bead color B. Now we'll do the same thing we did before, picking up 4 color B, 1 color A, and 4 color B. So if we were to stack these on top of each other, which is how they are going to be sitting, and you pull this stripe across, you want to go through the seed bead sitting directly across from that, which is this one. Then sew through the seed bead A and up through the seed bead B on the other side. And you can see how this is starting to produce this little bead cage that'll go around our rondelle. So let's pick up another 4B, 1A, and 4B. Head directly across through color B on that side, and then sew through the next color A, sew through the next 3mm, and just start pulling this all together. Now sew through the next color A, and up through the next color B. And again, we'll repeat what we just did. 4 A's, 1 B, and 4 A's. Look directly across, go up through that color B. Head back through that A. Turn and go through the B that's on the other side. And then finish up this stripe. 4 B's, 1 A, and 4 B's. Heading through color A. And we'll head through the 3mm and pull this nice and tight, and you can see our bead cage has come together, and we have one more little stripe section that we haven't done. But before we do that, let's go ahead and string on our remaining stripes. So 4 A's, 1 B, 4 A's. And you can pull those down, they'll be ready to go. And we're going to take our rondelle and just place that inside. So it's sitting like this. And we're going to take our remaining beads and go directly across and finish up this stripe section. And then I'm going to go through seed bead A right there. So it's loosely in place. We have some more to do. And right now, what I like to do is start to tighten up the beads by tacking down these 15-0s and then going through the hole and grabbing the 15-0 on the other side. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm coming out of this 15-0, I'm gonna place my needle directly down through the hole of the bead and make sure you're coming out of the center of those 4 3mm on this side. And then sew through the 15-0 that you get to on this side. Now sew down through the hole again, going in the opposite direction. And sew through the next 15-0. Then pass through the center of the bead again. Sew through the next 15-0 and back down through the bead. Now grab the next 15-0, sew down through the bead, and catch the one on this side. Sew back down through the hole. And we have one more to do. So we'll go through that last one, go back through the hole of the main bead, come up out of the center, and then sew through that final 15-0 on this side. And then sew back down through the bead. So that's really helping to tack down everything so it's nice and secure. And now what we want to do is be coming out of the left-hand side of one of your 3mm beads. So if you're coming up out of the central hole, just go through the left of one of those. And then sew up through the next 5 15-0As and 1 15-0B. And we're just going to bring some of these stripes together. Coming out of that 15-0A, I'm going to pick up 1 15-0A and then sew down through the 15-0A on the other side. Pick up another 15-0A and go back up through the one on the left, as well as the next 5 seed beads color B. And pull. You can see that brings those two stripes together. And then we're just going to move on to the next section. I'm going to go through the next 3mm. And I'll go through the next 3mm as well. It's okay if you skip the 15-0s, especially since we've gone through them several times. And then I'm just going to turn this over and do the same thing we just did, going through the 5 15-0 color Bs in this next stripe and that 15-0 color A. And then we're going to pick up a color A, sew down through the A that's on this side, pick up another color A, and go up through the one on the left. And also sew through the next 5 seed beads. There we go. So we're making that shape of 4 accent color seed beads over top of these sections with the 3mm beads. We've got 2 done and we're going to do 2 more. Let's sew through the next 3mm to get to our next section. And this time we can sew down through those 5 color B and the next color A. Pick up color A, go up through this one this time. Pick up color A again and go down through the one on the other side. And pull that together. So that's 3 done and 1 to go. So if you can go through the next 15-0, go for it. Just be coming out of that next 3mm that you need to get to. And once again, we're going to head up through the stripe and come out of that color A. Pick up another one and sew through the one on the other side. Pick up a color A and sew through the one on this side, plus the next 5 seed beads. And pull. And so we have 2 stripes that are brought together in each section. and my beads feel relatively tight from what we did going back and forth through the main hole. So at this point, you can just make a couple of half hitch knots to secure your thread, and then trim off the excess, and your beaded bead is complete. And that's all there is to it. You can just back up the video if you need to and make as many of these as you like and incorporate them in all sorts of different projects. Or you can make a necklace just like I have here. To string that all together, I simply used some bead stringing wire and followed the same process I would to make a single strand necklace. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm so glad to have you here. Feel free to leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you plan to give this a try, or maybe if you have, let me know how it went. Be sure to check right down below the video for all the relevant links for this project and the list of materials. Go ahead and give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel while you're here because I'd love to have you back for much more. And feel free to share this tutorial with your other beading friends. That's all I have for now. I hope to see you all again real soon. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, happy beading.